Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast. This is United Show. This is Devil's Advocate. And thank God, top four is finally ours. So we're here today to talk Manchester United versus Fulham. We're also going to talk maybe a tiny little bit about Chelsea game. Also, possibly what I suppose tomorrow means for the FA Cup final, and I suppose other rumours as well around ownership and transfer rumours as well. So do smash like in the video, do subscribe. As always, we do appreciate your support. Obviously, to my right, I am joined by Jeff here today as well. Jeff, first of all, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Good. Thank you. It's a gloomy afternoon here in Manila, so appreciate you inviting me for today.
No problem, and it's great. It's great to have you on. First of all, look, I suppose we'll chat briefly about the game that ultimately got us Champions League football, Chelsea in the Premier League. First of all, let's talk to us what you thought about the performance and kind of finally winning a big game. I suppose in a pressurized situation when. Look, our run probably in the last couple of weeks hasn't been the best, but look, Joe, we got the job done Thursday night.
Right. So I actually didn't see the whole game because it was a terrible time here. It's like 3 a.m. in Manila. But what I've seen in the live updates and the recaps, it was good that we got those 2 goals in the first half because we have that tendency of just getting a goal and then it was early on and then just not piling it on, right? So it was a great
Yeah.
performance. We actually had more than 2 goals to begin with, but it's a bit concerning that um, most of the game we ran, we got outran in the midfield. So that's definitely something that Ten Hag should look out for, coming up to the final. Well, never mind tomorrow's game, right? It's basically dead rubber for me, but something that they should work on into the FA Cup final.
Yeah, definitely. Look, if I look at the overall game, 4-1, like Joe, on paper, and the score was good. Like, look, the scoreline was good. It was good to get a few goals against Chelsea. It's great to see my good friend Evan in the comments. It's about time he got a bit of a humbling, so that was fantastic. Fantastic to see. But look, I think the midfield. When I look at the Chelsea game, I look at like Chukwuemeka and Gallagher. They really did overrun us in midfield. I think Enzo Fernandez as well did break well. And if I look at the way we set up in midfield, that could potentially happen a bit worse against City in the final, especially with the way they set up. So I think you're right, you're bang on the money there. I think the midfield would be a concern and going into the final. Look, even if we're fully on form, midfield is going to be a concern with the world class players Man City have, but look, that's not to downgrade what we have, because I do think you look at our midfield players, we do have, like, with our strongest 11, we do have very good players. But yeah, it's going to come to a couple of comments here already. So Evan's in there. He says, "Don't bother talking about the Chelsea game. United only want to look on the past." No, Evan, I think you're the one. If anyone's looking on the past now, it's probably you. And then Richard also in the comments says, "Morning, Keane, Jeff, everyone, and even Evan." So yeah, Richard's in a good mood today. And also, yes, Sonny is I can't swear in the morning time on the channel. So it's sunny in Manchester. Yeah, look, I was in Manchester for a few days during the week. Yeah, the weather was unreal over there. And yeah, usually anytime in Manchester it's raining, so it was a nice break.
So like here, there's a super typhoon coming in, so thankfully it's not gonna hit anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, obviously, like, look, when we look at like the previous game, I suppose one talking point would be Jadon Sancho. Joe, as of late, he's probably struggled. That's probably the best thing to say. But when you move over to that right hand side, he was very, very impressive. And obviously now with Anthony's injury, and he's out now for the FA Cup final, he's actually going to be out till the start of pre-season. Do you think? There's an interference there. One sec. Jeff, I think the interference is on your side. You might have to plug your mic out and plug it back in, I'd say.
How about now? Is it good?
1 second there. I think I might be able to help this out. Yeah, that's better. That's
All
better
right.
there.
Cool.
So yeah, do you think, like, when you look at Jadon Sancho, on that right hand side, especially with Anthony's injury. Do you think from a balanced perspective, having like him on the right and maybe having Rashford on the left, could be I suppose a better balanced front three going into the derby next weekend?
Well, originally we signed him for the right side, so hopefully this is the start of his comeback. Like I've heard a lot of banter and hate on Jadon Sancho, and he's not worth the 75 million, which jury's still out there, right? But with the performance against Chelsea, he looked better, way better on the right side. Uh, I was surprised that he like during the past few games he didn't actually play well. Maybe it's because of Anthony playing on the right, so he's forced playing on the left side, right? But now that Anthony's a concern, an injury concern, hopefully we get that Jadon Sancho from Dortmund that we originally bought, and it's start of a comeback that proving his worth of his transfer fee. So I'm confident that he can do well against City. But yeah, let's hope it's a long term improvement for him.
Yeah, definitely. Look, he's had his struggles this season. Look, we know with his form, he's had struggles off the pitch as well, and obviously that there's nothing to do with football. And look, we know that Sancho is a talented player. I think for me, like my problem with this is with the players we have in certain positions right now. When you have Anthony, you have Amad Diallo coming back on that right hand side, who's playing fantastic football, for Sunderland, and he's coming to potentially come back to United. Then you have Garnacho, you have Rashford on the left hand side. You still have Pellistri there, who's getting a new contract as well. Like for me, I think if there's any time now for Jadon Sancho to really kind of put down a marker, it definitely is next weekend. I know. Look, we're going to preview that game in more detail, obviously in the match previews that we're going to have during the week. But I think like if you're looking at his long term Man United career, like next Sunday will definitely contribute to it. But I think the next pre-season is make or break for him.
Exactly, and the time for him to prove Pep Guardiola wrong, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think it's time for there is room, I think, for improvement with him, and I think especially right now when you have the quality of inside forward that we do have at our disposal right now, it's a tough one for him right now.
Right. So I think the other concern that the difference between the Dortmund team that we got him from to our team now is that he doesn't have someone to provide to. Right. I mean, he had Holland back then. He had some strikers, but now it's pretty much Rashford cutting in from the left, and there's no one. We have no number 9. Like that's pretty obvious right now. But even when Weghorst there, is like can't provide anything. So I hope Jadon does well and gets this creative juices flowing and just create for himself if needed, right?
Yeah, look, he needs. I think, look, it definitely would help if he had a vocal point up there. I think, like, as much as I love Anthony Martial, he's not available enough. Weghorst, look, he tries.
I mean, fair play to Martial. Like he scored the last game. He almost scored. Well, he was on his way to almost scoring in the Bournemouth game, but I personally felt he was pulled out too early. But yeah, Martial's has a good run of form now, but I think that's just really driving up his transfer market price. So let's see, right?
Yeah, like I think with Martial, it's 9 to beat around the bush. He's done at Man United right now.
Yeah.
I think if you look at his availability, he hasn't been there. I think one of the best sayings I've heard in a while is the best ability right now is availability, and Anthony Martial doesn't. Anthony Martial doesn't have it, and he has all the talent in abundance, but he doesn't do it consistently enough, and he's not available enough to justify, I think, for me, him staying here next season.
Right.
I look at other strikers who are out there in the league right now. Like if you look at Harry Kane, I think Harry Kane's perfect for this system. He's expensive, but Harry Kane is absolutely perfect for what we need to going forward. Obviously, if you can't get him, you have other options out there like an Evan Ferguson or someone like that. I think that right now, number 9, we're really struggling. I think some players are seeing the woes of that. I think Rashford you know, he's great individually, but I think if he had a striker to link up with, he could be so like we could unlock so much more from Rashford. I think, like you said, with Sancho, we could unlock something. Even with Anthony, I think if we had like a focal point up there, the three of them alone, I think we could see a lot better return from them all.
Right. So hopefully, if we get Kane, he's gonna do a Van Persie for us.
Yeah.
Like he has aged a bit, but we know he's a capable scorer. He's a proven scorer in the Premier League, and getting a team from London. So hopefully, when we do get him, then we get a revenge title against City. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, hopefully it has all the. We've bought a striker from North London before, and we know how that played out. So look, hopefully Joe Lightning can strike twice, as they say. But yeah, look, I think from a number 9 perspective, we are desperate for not only one, but I'd say 2 strikers in the summer now. Look, knowing what the financial situation is like at the club at the minute, it's probably going to be tough to even get one, never mind 2. But I'm just going to come to a couple of comments just regarding Sancho. Richard says, obviously, next season will define whether he stays United for years or leaves United disappointingly. I agree. Richard says, obviously, next season. We're hearing audio there.
Oh, the ghost of
StreamYard is literally having a mad one. But yeah, I do think obviously, I do agree with Richard that next season will define whether he stays United for years or leaves United in a, I suppose, in a disappointing way. Yeah, look, I look at that. I look at next season. Like I think we have top 4 sealed up now. I do think we have to get this ownership situation, Jeff, sorted out.
Exactly.
Because when you look from a transfer window point of view, I look at Newcastle. They got Champions League qualification. They've a bucket load of money. They're going to go out and they're going to do smart investment.
Right.
Where you have Man City, who we all know they've endless money. As bad as Chelsea are right now, they've no European football whatsoever, which gives them Pochettino 1 game a week to.
Right.
I know he hasn't been out. Yeah,
I mean, to be fair to Eddie Howe at Newcastle, like this season, they didn't really have that big name signing. I mean, Nick Pope was the biggest signing. Isaac was a under the radar signing, but he got it together there. And now we're gonna see the financial might of their ownership, and that's a pretty scary prospect for me. So hopefully we have that same stability and get our ship righted.
Yeah, look, I think when you look at this summer, we have to make the right signings, not the big signings.
Exactly.
The right ones. I think
right.
For too long, we've went down and bought the superstar. Now, I know I mentioned Harry Kane, but if you look at the type of striker Erik Ten Hag wants, Harry Kane's that type of profile. Harry Kane will guarantee you 30 goals a season for at least the next 3 seasons. You look at centre-half, I think we need another centre-half. I think, obviously, when Varane and Martinez get injured, you see a bit of drop-off. Now, I know Lindelof's actually done quite well to deputise.
Right.
But Harry Maguire's leaving in the summer, so we obviously automatically we need a replacement for him. Because as much as fans might turn around and they slag off Harry Maguire, in certain games Harry Maguire suits that certain game and he can play well. And like, look, when you lose a body, you're gonna have to replace, because Boy's probably going. Jones is already gone. Tunes-Abbey is gone. Now all these players haven't played, but there are players who were there in case we needed a centre half. So we do need another centre half in the summer just to kind of fill that void. And obviously it has to be someone good who fits the way we play.
Right. Well, I'm personally hyped that Kim Min-jae is in the transfer rumor mill. He definitely did well in Napoli. He replaced Koulibaly basically, right? And that lineup. And look at what has happened. I mean, of course, there's Osimhen, there's Spalletti doing his job, but there's a player in there, and actually Mourinho wanted to sign him way back when he was still in the Chinese Super League.
Yeah.
So hopefully those rumor mills come into fruition, because I'm excited for another South Korean to rep Man United and do have the same legacy as Park Ji-sung.
Yeah, definitely. And like from what I've seen of him as well, especially in the Champions League, he's been very good. Now, obviously, like, look, as great as Serie A have done in Europe this season, and as great as Napoli have done, the pressure going from Napoli to Manchester United is like it's mega, and I
Oh,
do think
absolutely.
if he steps in, he has to adjust very quickly.
Absolutely. I mean, I think culturally, because he's a big name back in his home country, like
Yeah,
they always have these big set of expectations. So for me, I think he has that capacity to absorb that pressure.
yeah,
Um, Especially that he has Son Heung-min to basically guide him in life in England, right? So,
yeah,
but in
100%.
terms of public scrutiny, they're used to it, man. I mean, these Korean superstars like have it worse than footballers in England, to be honest. So, I think he can hack the pressure. Let's hope that when he signs, what you say is true, So,
Yeah, and like if you can handle the pressure, that's half the battle. Because like, look,
right,
when you're at Man United, regardless of who you are, like you're under the microscope from the minute you sign, and that's
Mm.
not just the media. You look how social media plays a part. Nowadays, it is very very particular in how players get analysed.
Mm.
I think right now, if you look at Kim and Jay, if he comes in and he makes an impact, it'd be great. And
Right.
like gives, I think especially if you look at Rafael Varane, it gives him, having another quality centre half. We can manage Varane's minutes maybe a bit
Exactly.
better, you know, and it can hopefully give us a chance for our style of play not to change, because I
No
feel like
drop
when
off, right?
no drop off, because like it's like when Maguire comes into the team instead of Varane, automatically the goalkeeper behind him shits himself. Well, he shits himself anyway. But like the goalkeeper behind him doesn't want to pass to Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire doesn't want to pass it back to the goalkeeper because they both don't trust each other.
Mm.
So like it doesn't create room for any mistakes at the back. Obviously, as well, I think it's great for Lisandro Martinez to have that centre back partner who can maybe be to a similar level of him,
Mm.
because it can't just be Martinez carrying that back four the whole time. There has to be
Right.
someone there to kind of be his not even so much his equal, but someone of great quality. You can't like
Right.
the drop off can't be there. Like
And Kim Min Jae is like, I think he's gonna be the next captain, if I'm not mistaken, of the Korean national team. So he has that leadership qualities definitely. So hopefully that leadership translates into the back four, because we've sorely missed that, right, in the back four. Even when Maguire was there, it didn't seem like he was leading that back four. It was more of he was bossing them around, not really leading them. So hopefully when we do sign one this summer, they have that leadership to actually lead and not just command around that back four.
yeah, they have to have leadership. They also like look like you said, has to be leadership by example. They can't just be someone mountain but not having no substance behind it. Because
Mm.
if you're mountain like that and you have no substance behind it, one thing that does happen is players don't respecting you, and then that
Right.
causes some unrest and disorganization within the back four. And that's that's across the board. That's not on Man United,
Mhm.
particularly as well. That's anywhere. But we talked about kind of Sancho and we talked about kind of make or break and stuff like that. But obviously, we have a cup final, Jeff,
Mm.
coming up next weekend, and for many of us, we're probably all we have the blinkers on and we're just looking straight ahead, to the cup final. But when you actually look at tomorrow per se,
Mm.
Fulham, obviously, many people might say it's a dead rubber, but it's a chance for United to, I suppose, accrue 75 points in the league, which would be one of our highest points tallies in a while. There's a chance to finish third in the league. Also, it's a chance to last game in front of the home crowd between now and obviously next season. Um, what way do you think Ten Hag approaches this? Does he have an approach of, let's say, let's kind of give ourselves a chance to tactically prepare for Manchester City, or do you think, look, the fact that Champions League's done, we're already in pot two, like that's regardless of what happens tomorrow, like we win the group stage and we're in pot two already. That like in regards to what the result tomorrow is the result. Do you think is a chance to prepare tactically, or would you like to see him maybe play the kids? Like your Kobe Mainus, your Sedan Iqbals, young Reece Bennett, young players like that who maybe can get a chance, like, and maybe obviously adhere to the traditions of the football club of playing you out and giving you a chance.
Personally, I'd like the kids to play. Whether it's like second half onwards or maybe starting the game, because historically speaking, like we didn't see Ten Hag really rotate.
Yeah,
I think that's been discussed in some episodes that Ten Hag didn't have that tendency to rotate and didn't give the fringe players even some minutes. That's why when we got those injury suspensions, when our fringe players had to step up, they're so rusty, right? So
yeah,
like personally, I'd like the kids to play, or maybe just give like at least like five starters, then just pull them out for the second half, and then have the kids play for the rest of it. But as you said, of course, we'd like to give the home crowd a good show. It's the last game of the season, but I do believe those kids can give a good show. Um, but let's see. We want to avoid injuries and suspensions too, right? Given that there's bias against Casemiro, and we had like terrible luck in the injury department, like tackles out of nowhere and then out 2 to 3 weeks. So I hope we get some rotation in, especially with the kids that Ten Hag trusts, so like Garnacho. I really hope to see Pelistri start.
yeah.
Like when he's come in, he's never had a wrong foot on the field. So hopefully he gets some minutes. He deserves it, and then prepare for for what's to come next season.
Yeah, 100%. Look, I think it'd be a great game for him to show his skill set, especially against a good team like Fulham as well. Because obviously they've done well this season. I think obviously Mitrovic especially has been a massive threat. I think Marco Silva has really rebuilt his reputation
Right.
on the back of that Everton sacking, which look at anyone who goes back and watches this channel. I did say that I think they sacked him a bit too soon, when they did sack him. So yeah, look, they've done well. They've look. I tipped them for relegation, last season. So that's how I started this season. So look, they've done fantastically well. But we will kind of, I suppose, look at kind of Garnacho, because he's been like, obviously he had a difficult start the season.
Mm.
Particularly obviously he had discipline issues with Ten Hag. Ten Hag kind of got Bruno to take Garnacho under his wing. And it seems like, look, Garnacho's really kind of come into his own as the months have gone on this season. What do you make of his development this season, especially the fact he's a player coming out of the academy? And if you look at it right now, he's probably one of our most important players in the squad.
hmm He's our spark plug from the bench because for like the good part of 3 5 years, the last 3 5 years, like we always had our strongest 11 and no one to come off the bench and be a difference maker. So that's definitely what Garnacho has offered. Whether it's to close out a game or to add some offensive ammunition.
Yeah,
So that's why he's important, and it's better. It's better that way because we don't really rush him into playing like what happened to Januzaj.
yeah,
So Ten Hag really did a good job on him, getting him straight and making him realize that he can do big things if he just listened and put in the hard work and not get ahead of not get ahead of anything and just of because once you lose that discipline, that attitude, then it's gonna be like another what if, right? So good on Ten Hag, and hopefully we see Garnacho for well, he's on the left, so let's see his uh, his flexibility so that we can play around with our dynamic front three and see more of him, even if Rashford's still around and Sancho and even Anthony and Ahmad, right? So,
yeah. Like, look, I think one thing we've seen from him is like he's lightning quick. He's such a massive threat, and like for me, like you said, he's that difference maker off the bench that we
mhm.
look that we've look, especially during his injury for them 2 months, we really did lack. We missed him big time. I think he's someone who is probably the future of this football club. Like I strongly believe that Garnacho is the future of this football club. he reminds me, and I always say it, and like I never wanted to put pressure on him, but he does often remind me of what Cristiano was like when he first came.
Mm,
Right now, in terms of like, carrying the ball, beating players, to being very skillful, and then he's starting to slowly add goals to his game now as well, and
right.
assists. Like he slowly, kind of really reminded me of that version of Cristiano Ronaldo when he
And
came to the football
Cristiano
club.
back then was too much of a showboat. Like when he first
Yeah,
came into the scene, he did too much dribbling, but you don't really see that from Garnacho. There's really more of being that composed, and if you remember that our previous game against Fulham,
yeah.
like he bursted into that game-winning goal like out of nowhere. He just outran defenders, and from far away, you wouldn't think that he's gonna outrun them, but he did, and he scored the winning goal. So I think at this point, like in the same age, Garnacho was a bit more polished. So the pedigree's there, right? So let's see if he can like be one of the greats in the future.
Look, thank God we got that new contract.
Yeah, thankfully.
We got that new
Hopefully,
contract wrapped up because, like, look, it won't be long before teams come sniffing around anyway.
hmm.
But I do think we have that security of the contract there, and like there's no talk of any like release clauses or anything like that. So that's good to see. Look, for me, I do see him having a big future at this football club. I mean, he's definitely a player. Look, going maybe in a couple of years' time that we start building around.
Hmm.
And I'd love to see him link up with, like, let's say if we do get a Kane or we do get a classic number 9, that Garnacho can link up with them and to really give us that extra dimension, in attack. But what we will do is we're going to look at we're going to give both of our preferred 11s
Hmm.
for tomorrow, and then look, I'll ask a couple more questions just regarding this season. We're going to do obviously an end of season review after the FA Cup. There's going to be a stream afterwards, and we're going to do a full review on
Hmm.
a lot of moments and stuff like that in the season. But what we're going to do now is give our preferred 11s for the final game of the season, and look, obviously at the end of the stream, we'll give score predictions, and things like that. So, Jeff, first of all, give me your preferred 11 for tomorrow's game against Fulham.
So I'd like to see Butland start. Just give De Gea a rest. Of course, we have to manage Varane. So maybe Lindelof. Oh man, Shaw is like injured, right? So we have no like
Yeah,
it's either Dalo or Malasia on the left side, right? And
yeah,
center center halves. Well, right now I don't think. Well, we can start Maguire, right? Maguire and Lindelof maybe, and then it's either Dalo or Wan Bissaka. So it's those three options. So preferably, I'd like to get Dalo some minutes because he hasn't been playing recently. So that's my back four, like Dalo, Maguire, Lindelof, and Aaron. Midfield three. Well, of course, you got to start Casemiro and Bruno, but pull them off the second half. Um, Maybe Fred or McTominay. But Fred for the first half, and then McTominay comes in the second, so that's fine. Front three. Um, hmm. Weghorst can get a start. Marshall can get a start, and maybe Sancho. Just more minutes for Sancho, so he's warmed up for next week's final.
you're more or less kind of going maybe mostly first team, kind of one or two fringe players,
Right.
coming in. You're kind of keeping them fresh for the final. I'll go with my 11. I do agree with the goalkeeper. I think Butland in goal. I think De Gea, look, obviously Golden Gloves wrapped up. May as well give Butland his debut with no kind of pressure
Yeah.
and being involved. Or like, look, if Tom Heaton's actually leaving Italy and his second
He's
stint,
injured, I think.
he's
He's still
still
injured.
injured, is he?
Yeah.
He's
He's still
done then.
injured. Mm.
That's unfortunate. Then obviously, then look, I'll give it to Butland and then give Butland a start. My back four would be Dallo right back. Look, for me, I think Wan-Bissaka deserves a rest, and we need him fully 100% fit. And this is probably going to be the team of my 11
Mm.
in terms of keeping players 100%. I go with Dallo right back, and centre half pair and Lindelof and Maguire. Look, I think that speaks for itself at the minute in terms of keeping Varane on ice. And look, after Maguire, we've no one else. Not unless we want to go Tom Huddlestone centre half, but he's not registered, so that's not going to happen. So yeah, I go Lindelof, Maguire, and then I go Malacia left back. I think Luke Shaw has a minor back injury, but he should be okay for the final. But
Hopefully,
I don't want to risk that, not at all. If you know Luke Shaw against City, a left back will be a disaster. This is a real throwback to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's United. I'm going Fred and McTominay in midfield.
Can't blame you.
Yeah, I'm going for the old classic McFred in midfield. Look, I think we're talking about injuries and suspensions. A Casemiro injury or suspension would be an absolute nightmare. And if Ten Hag has any, look, if all Ten Hag has to do is look at the bookings Casemiro's got this season, and you look at Fulham come now for revenge for the 9 men. This would be the wrong game to play Casemiro. The cup final coming up. If top 4 is on the line, I'd be like, okay, we have to play him.
Right.
Back top 4 is done. Casemiro needs to be sitting in a spa somewhere in Manchester with a non-alcoholic cocktail, and he needs to be sitting there. He needs to be chilling, and he needs to just watch the game. I would not be playing under no circumstance. I'd be playing Kobbie Mainoo and Zidane Iqbal in midfield before I'd be playing Casemiro on Sunday. Really and truly, I do not want
makes sense.
Casemiro. Casemiro, not a hope. I do not want Casemiro anywhere near that midfield on Sunday. The only time I want him on the pitch is for maybe getting back to Old Trafford for the lap of honour at the end of the game. But other than that, I do not want Casemiro to play at all on Sunday. Then the midfielder in front of Fred McTominay, I go Kobbie Mainoo. At number 10, I think obviously he's got the young player of the year for Man United. He's had a brilliant season for the academy. He's made a couple of first team appearances this season and looks like quite a good player. Definitely one for the future to look out for. So I'd go Kobbie Mainoo at number 10, because I swear to God, if Bruno Fernandes doesn't get a rest in this game, I swear to God. That's probably on him because he wants to play every game of football.
Yeah.
Bruno is just an absolute maniac. But look, I'd go Kobbie Mainoo in number 10. On the right, then I go for Facundo Pellistri. Look, I do think he needs game time. And again, look, with Anthony's injury, I kind of want to keep Jadon Sancho on the wraps. Even though I kind of have a theory if he'll start or not in the FA Cup final, I do think there's a chance we might see Bruno on the right, and then we pack out the midfield like we did at the derby at Old Trafford. But for now, I will say Pellistri on the right anyway, because I do think he needs game time. He needs to kind of justify the hype that's been kind of shown around him at the minute. So I do think Pellistri on the right. On the left, then I go Garnacho. Look, I do think obviously he's made appearances off the bench, but I'd like to see him get a start. Maybe even get 45 minutes. Just to freshen up the legs, because obviously we do need him at Wembley, but again, we also need Rashford, and with Rashford just back from injury, I don't expect that Rashford will start tomorrow. So I go Garnacho. Yeah, hopefully not. Yeah, absolutely. I go Garnacho on the left, and then Martial. I think Thursday was probably the perfect time to end Martial's United career, because he scored the goal. He gave the fans a salute in the stadium, and I think we need him in the final up front in terms of his ability to hold the ball and link play up. And he has a great goal scoring record against City, so I'd keep him on the wraps. So unfortunately, the horse has to start up front.
You have no choice, man.
Yeah, literally, like we have to stop City win the treble. So at the end of the day, I think any player that has any resemblance of quality in their squad, I strongly believe we should just rest them at all costs, man. Honestly, the way Ten Hag doesn't rotate, and I have a bad feeling he's going to go full strength tomorrow, and we're going to get a big injury.
I have that feeling too.
Honestly, look, as great as it be to finish on 75 points and finish third, 72 points and fourth. Look, I'm not arsed at this point, because Champions
doesn't make a difference anyway, right?
Yeah, it doesn't affect where we are in the pots. And because of our coefficient points with UEFA, we're going to be in pot 2 regardless of what happens. And look, Newcastle are also playing Chelsea, so at Stamford Bridge. so they're not guaranteed to win anyway. So look, there's big, like, I hate to use the phrase that the Muppets on AFTV used when they said they had bigger fish to fry when they got knocked out in the Europa League and then they lost the league.
Yeah.
But we literally do have, we have to protect our history. We have to
Right.
beat City at Wembley. So honestly, do not play on only the others. Couple of first team players who are could be involved in the final that need minutes should play, just strictly for
For warming up, right?
for match fitness. That's
Yeah.
literally it. And look, it's a chance. I think as well. You have to say it like it's a chance to give the kids a chance. Like
Mm.
you give like Sedan Iqbal and Kobe Mania games. You obviously maybe Iqbal off the bench because he's played very little football recently. Maybe Reece Bennett to come in as centre half, for 45 minutes. Like the U team captain, bring him in. Like really and truly, like Mark Gerardo's made the last couple of match day squads.
Mm.
The right back, and he's a very good young promising player. Like there's certain positions I think we could bring a couple of the kids in for this game. Look, for me, like honestly, it's probably the one game this season I've sat here on the pod and say the result itself actually doesn't matter. Probably bar the Forest game, the second leg at Old Trafford, because
Mm.
I knew barring a catastrophe, I knew we're gonna get through. Like barring our players really shit in the bed and Forest all of a sudden gathering the ability to score more than one goal. I just didn't see it at the time. This one here for me, I think
Doesn't really matter.
it's like a preseason friendly. It's just just about giving players a chance to go out and show, and look, it's a chance for a couple of players to say goodbye to Old Trafford as well. That should, like, by all rights shouldn't be here next season. So look, it'll be interesting to see kind of how Ten Hag does approach it. But Jeff, before we get your score prediction and we do wrap up, I do want to get, I'm just going to say a couple of questions on the season itself, and you can give me quick fire answers.
Sure.
First of all, favorite game of the season?
Shucks. Top of the head, that Fulham game. We came from behind 2-1. Right, so
Fulham, the FA Cup, was it?
yeah, where Garnacho scored the game winner.
Oh yeah. That was
That one. Yep.
That was a good goal. Yeah, that was a good game. Could be a massive game to consider if we go on to beat City to beat them to not get the treble. That could be
Right.
A crucial one. Best goal you've seen this season?
Best goal. I'd go with the Casemiro header in the first Chelsea game just because of the celebration.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
that passionate celebration. Like I really love that. So
Yeah, that was brilliant. Good. Yeah, because Chelsea just looked like Chelsea just nicked it at the end, and then Casemiro went in, and yeah, we didn't know if it crossed the line. The referee pointed to the center circle. That was good.
thank God for goal line technology. Yeah.
Yeah, thank God for that. Yeah, and it would have been a bad day if we lost them. I think. Look, we all would have had to go into hiding if that happened. Also, I'll ask you two more. Most underrated player of the season.
Underrated. I'd say Juan Bissaka. Like he just got rated recently, but before that, like we knew he had ability, but now that he's actually showing it. So, but if it's like underrated until now, maybe Lindelof. If not for that injury, we'd have seen that ability, but he's pulled through. So, yeah.
Yeah, look, I could definitely agree on the one Bissaka shout. He's been, look, if you're talking since the World Cup, he's been mega consistent, and he's like flown on the radar compared to other players in the squad. And finally, what would you rate Erik Ten Hag out of 10 this season?
I'd rate him like an 8.5. I'm being generous because he's overachieved what our post Ferguson managers have done. He's got a trophy in his first year. He's got top 4. He's got some young players. Get on straight. My only complaint is that his non-rotation, maybe because he doesn't trust the other players too much, and he wants to prove a point that we need other players in that lineup. But overall, it's an 8.5 for me. He's done really well. He's he's met his objective. We're on our way back to Champions League. Uh, if we win the FA Cup, then it's gonna be like a 9.5 for me. So
I'm telling you now, if we win the FA Cup, and obviously let's say we finish third with 75 points. I know I kind of look. I said the result probably doesn't matter, but if you want to fully deep it, right? He finishes third and wins 2 trophies. He's definitely been our best manager post Fergie,
exactly.
without doubt. Now, I think he does eclipse what Mourinho done if he does that, because when Mourinho done it, we finished 6th in the league and we sacrificed top 4 at Christmas. Like
Hmm.
he did, and he hedged all his bets on Europa League, and only for John Guidetti to absolutely shut the bed in extra time. We won't be talking about that. But I do think if Ten Hag does win if he does win the title, the FA Cup, I'm thinking about league titles already. If he does win the FA Cup, I do think he's our best manager post Fergie, and even I'd maybe even argue, look, there's an argument there to be our best manager. If we're talking about style of football. He's definitely the most exciting post Fergie. I think it always kind of makes me think what a third year of Louis Van Gaal would have looked like.
Like to be fair, like Oli was exciting like the first 2 years.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, he did not get the support of in terms of transfers, in terms of getting the right transfers, and then he got that. Ronaldo was like a monkey wrench into his plans, to be honest, right? So he could have taken it further. Last season he was last full season with us. He got second. He went to the final of the Europa League with the players that we had, right? So to be fair to him, he kind of overachieved with that lineup.
yeah,
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to showcase more of it because he wasn't supported during the transfer window. So.
yeah. Look, I would love nothing more for Ali to win that Europa League that year. Would have been great because obviously he's one of us, and it would have been great to see. And yeah, Julio says Keane casually bringing up my PTSD with that Guidetti miss. Yeah, look, that John Guidetti moment, I remember watching at home. I thought I was going to die when I was watching that finish. I genuinely thought we were gone. But yeah, look, if Ten Hag does win the FA Cup, I do believe he's our best manager post Fergie. I think is indisputable, especially when you consider he'd be after beating City to the FA Cup. He'd have to beaten like this very good Newcastle team in the
League
final
Cup.
of the League Cup, which like if you look at the level of opposition Mourinho played in both of them competitions as well. And Ten Hag would have done it with better football and with a better league finish. I do think he'd eclipse that because Mourinho talks about 3 trophies. Community Shield is not a treble. It isn't.
Exactly.
It isn't. If that's the case, we're counting the Bangkok Century Cup as part of the treble.
And our match calendar was like crazy after the World Cup, right? So props to Ten Hag for managing through that.
Yeah, 110%. Look, he's done well to get us where we are because like people can go back to our preseason prediction. I went horribly wrong. I predicted United to finish 6th and win Europa League this season. Do exactly what we done in Jose's first season. But like I think he's done a lot better than what I predicted, and he's done fantastically well. And look, hopefully we have new ownership and we can see a new dynasty be built to Man United. But we're not going to talk about ownership now because I do have shows coming up on that very, very soon. So we will park it there for this morning. Thanks very much, Jeff, for coming on as well. Obviously, time zones and all that crack is different. So I always do appreciate when you can jump on when you can. Look, I hope to see you on the channel again soon as well. And don't forget, guys, to smash a like on the video and hit subscribe. If you're watching on Twitter, do jump over to Weekly Armchair Sports Talk on YouTube. Go in, drop your comments in under the video. Give your score predictions for the game as well, as Mr. Jeff is going to do right now. Jeff, how's it going tomorrow?
If we play the kids, I'm positive we're gonna get a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. I'm gonna go. I'll go 2-1. I'll go 2-1 United, and I'll go with Scott McTominay first goal scorer.
Man, he's a clinical finisher for a defensive midfielder. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Yeah, it's mad. I think it might be a bit of a hot take, but I think Scott McTominay would do Phil Weghorst's role better than Phil Weghorst.
Exactly. Like if
I think he would.
If we signed Weghorst for that, we could have used McTominay instead and saved the money, So
yeah, we could have. But who wants to save the Glazers money, right? But on that, thanks very much to Jeff coming on. Thanks very much, everyone, tuning in this morning. Hope you have an all good weekend. And hopefully we see actually a Borussia Dortmund title win in Bundesliga. I think that would be
later tonight. Yeah.
That'd be great to see. Joe, I'm sick of Bayern Munich winning it the whole time. But yeah, look, thanks very much, everyone, for watching. And do check out the match reaction tomorrow with Mark and lads. But until then, we'll see you later.